Once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially
with the series, with the film.
I mean, I think the intention is to give a more full-bodied experience to what happened, from the people that agreed to sit down and to participate. And I feel like the film asks a lot of questions, maybe more questions are asked than answers given.
And those quiet afternoons when the biggest drama in your life is deciding whether to rewatch The Wire or scroll through old memes. Well, cancel those plans because 50 Cent just casually lit the fuse on what might be the most explosive scandal hip-hop has ever seen. And no, we're not talking about another diss track or a petty Instagram feud. This time it's personal, like Rewrite the History books personal. Turns out that documentary everyone thought was just about Diddy's legal troubles. Yeah, that was just the warm-up. The real show is coming and it's got Jay-Z's name written all over it. Not as a bystander, not as a friend, but as the co-star in a story so wild, so carefully buried that even the most hardened industry insiders are sweating. You think you've seen drama. Oh, music, the game's about to change and the first move was made while we were all distracted. Buckle up. People know about this very public, music, long-standing feud that you've had with Shan Kamez. So, what brought you to this project? Well, I just want to make really hit music, television. I like the idea of it being exciting. And I picked music up this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex. And I know that music, that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it the timing couldn't be more explosive. Just months after Diddy's conviction on solicitation-related charges, a case that saw federal agents raid his LA and Miami estates, uncovering everything from hidden cameras to questionable substances, 50 Cent is now turning the spotlight onto Jay-Z, suggesting their bond was built on a foundation of deception. The allegations that their high-profile romances, their hyper-masculine personas, even their public feuds were all part of an elaborate cover. And if the claims hold even a fraction of truth, the fallout won't just be personal. It'll be financial, legal, and cultural. We're talking about two men who have shaped an entire generation of music, fashion, and Black entrepreneurship. If their partnership was a performance, the question isn't just about their private lives. It's about how many people knew, how many looked the other way, and what else might still be hidden in those raided properties. And I think that they don't want if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions. They don't want it to get out to the general public to make up. This is an idle gossip. The documentary's existence was teased by 50 himself, who spent years dropping breadcrumbs, from mocking Diddy's legal troubles to openly questioning Jay-Z's silence during the raids. Remember that deep fake video he posted last December, splicing Jay-Z's face onto Lionel Richie? You are with the caption, "This the message Jay-Z sent me when he realized he's not in the Diddy doc." At the time, it seemed like another jab in their decadal-long rivalry. But now with a second installment reportedly in production, the joke isn't funny anymore. Music, because the new project isn't just targeting Diddy's past, it's dragging Jay-Z into the same storm. And the legal stakes couldn't be higher. We already know Diddy's team is threatening lawsuits over The Reckoning, calling it a shameful hit piece built on stolen footage. Imagine the firepower they'll unleash if Jay-Z's name is tied to the same allegations. Music, and let's not forget the timing. This past October, a Jane Doe lawsuit accused both men of assaulting her at a house party in 2000 when she was just 13. And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. Music, it was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl that is new in the Diddy lawsuit. The case was amended in December to name Jay-Z directly, a move his team called blackmail. His denial was swift and public. What the attorney had calculated was the nature of these allegations, and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. But settlements aren't the only risk here. If 50 Cent's documentary digs into their early years, we're talking about a period when both men were facing separate legal battles. Diddy's nightclub shooting in '99, Jay-Z's stabbing case the same year. Back then, they were young, untouchable, and surrounded by a culture that protected its kings at all costs. Now, music, the protections are crumbling. Federal investigators have already seized footage from Diddy's homes. If similar evidence exists, tying Jay-Z to those same circles, the implications go beyond scandal. They could reopen old cases, trigger new ones, and force a reckoning not just for the men at the center, but for everyone who enabled them. I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've music been known for. You understand? What makes this even more volatile is the money. Music, Jay-Z isn't just a rapper. He's a billionaire with stakes in the NFL, the NBA, and a beverage empire that thrives on his image as a self-made titan. Diddy, music, even from prison, still controls a media empire and a network of allies who have stayed loyal through multiple lawsuits. But loyalty has its limits. We've seen it before. When the first domino falls, the rest follow fast. And 50 Cent isn't just throwing accusations. He's positioning himself as the man with the receipts. Remember his Instagram post about paying top dollar for tapes from Diddy's infamous freak-off parties? That wasn't just talk. Sources close to the production say he's been collecting statements from former associates, security footage, even financial records that could tie both men to the same dark activities. If those tapes exist, and given the hidden cameras allegedly found in Diddy's homes, it's a real possibility they wouldn't just be damaging, they'd music, be nuclear. Then there's the question of who else might be caught in the crossfire. If that's part of the indictment, that's someone like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-off, so that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to music, say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you gonna do it again. That ain't going to make it with the government or nobody. The lawsuits and raids didn't happen in a vacuum. We're talking about a network that allegedly included athletes, politicians, and A-list celebrities. People who attended those parties, signed those NDAs, and now have every reason to panic. When federal agents raided Diddy's LA mansion in March of 2024, they didn't just find substances and weapons. They found videos, unspecified footage that's never been made public. And if Jay-Z was part of that world, even peripherally, music, the ripple effect could be unprecedented. Imagine the calls being made right now, the lawyers being retained, the old alliances being tested. Because this isn't just about two men. It's about an entire system that's operated for decades under the same unspoken rules. What happens in the inner circle stays in the inner circle. But 50 Cent isn't playing by those rules. And neither, it seems, are the feds. What's fascinating and terrifying for the people involved is how this all connects. Take the 2024 amended lawsuit where Jane Doe described being assaulted by both men at a party while a third unnamed woman watched. That's not just an allegation, it's a blueprint. It suggests coordination, shared behavior, a pattern that goes beyond individual acts. And if the documentary ties that to the freak-off parties described in Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit, where guests were allegedly recorded without consent, where substances flowed freely, where power dynamics were weaponized, then we're not just talking about personal misconduct. We're talking about a machine, one that Diddy and Jay-Z may have built together, then spent years protecting. The fact that Jay-Z's team has stayed silent on the documentary rumors speaks volumes. Because in a crisis like this, silence isn't neutrality, it's strategy. And right now, the only strategy that makes sense is damage control. But here's the thing about damage control. It only works if you can contain the story. As I said, never before seen footage music, of the days leading up to his arrest. Music, can you just talk a little bit about was there anything that surprised you from that footage? The footage, well, I think it's rare to find someone music. On who's being, talked about all over the country. All eyes were on him, so to speak, and music. It was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and 50 Cent isn't just telling a story, he's weaponizing it. The first documentary already used footage Diddy's team called Stolen, including scenes of him ranting in a hotel room just before his arrest. Music, if the sequel includes similar material on Jay-Z, the legal battles will be brutal. But the court of public opinion, that's where the real war is being fought. Because for all their power, neither man can control the narrative once it's out there. And 50 Cent knows it. Music, he's not just exposing secrets. He's forcing a conversation that the industry has avoided for decades about complicity, about the cost of silence, about